Good morning, guys. It is a little bit before 8 on Tuesday, December 19th, and I have already been in my studio for a while, just working away on that same piece that you saw me working on last week's vlog on the grilled cheese. So I have that and one other illustration that goes with it to finish up this week. This is the last week before the holiday, and I'm going to be taking 2 weeks off for Christmas, which is going to be really nice because we're going to visit Eric's family, and then from there to visit my family, my extended family, because my immediate family lives nearby, but extended family all lives on the West Coast. So yeah, we're going to be doing a bit of traveling over the holiday, and that just means that I have stuff that has to get finished up this week. So I think I already talked about the projects last week, but I'm doing two illustrations for a greeting card company, and then one illustration for a magazine, and sending off some orders and a couple of private commissions. And I am still waiting on the final word on that piece that you all saw me having to redo last week. I'm so bad at remembering what specifically I said in a vlog. So I can't remember if I actually mentioned this, but I know in the vlog I said that I was going to try gouache to see if I could fix the existing piece. And unfortunately that did not work, so I had to redo it from scratch. And somebody had suggested, you know, what if I could just like do only part of the illustration and then weave them together afterwards in Photoshop. And that is a possibility. There are some areas where it was like kind of stuff overlapped too much to do that in a way that would actually look good. So but that is on the table. So I ended up just like redoing the entire piece, but basically the client will have an option, like if there are elements of the other one that they preferred, then I will be able to weave that in. But I'm hoping that what I have done is going to be good enough, and that well, not good enough. I'm hoping that the client loves it, because I definitely want them to be fully happy with it, and it's a big enough project that's like really important. I mean, it's important in every project, but I think I feel it especially for the pressure, especially for the large projects. So I've heard back from the art director, and she was really happy with it, but haven't heard back confirmation from the client yet. And another reason I'm hoping they don't want any more changes is just because time-wise it would be really tricky to do it this week, because I have all this other stuff that has to be finished, and I wasn't planning on, I was planning on this big project being done like last week, or I think even the week before that. So yeah, so that is where I'm at right now. I am gonna do the drawing this morning. Well, I say drawing, but I'm gonna do a random number generator online to choose the winners for the giveaway. Yeah, and then we'll be just working on just drawing today. So actually, all in all, it should be kind of a nice day, because I will mostly be actually working on illustrations. And we'll see. I almost don't even want to mention this because my arm is sore. I got a flu shot yesterday in this arm, and it really hurts. Oh yeah, so we'll see how it goes, and I don't want to like over promise and then under deliver, but I am thinking I might try to vlog a few times this week, just to get back in the swing with it, and especially then because I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks after that. So we'll see, but there should at least be today's vlog. So I am going to get to some drawing. About 11 o'clock now, and I've just been working on the illustrations for the greeting card company this morning. I had both of them underway already, and I think I may have actually just finished them in the last few hours, which would be great. They both got really kind of warped when I was working on them. I don't know why. I think maybe the paper that I was using, I tend to get like these big sheets of paper and then break them down into smaller, more workable sizes. So like the paper that I like doesn't actually come in in tearaway sheets. Some of it will come in blocks, but I don't like working on blocks because then you can only really do one thing at a time, and I'm always working on multiple things at once. So anyway, I break down these big sheets of paper, but then sometimes I don't remember exactly what's what, particularly the weight. So I think I might have chosen a lighter weight paper than I was originally intending. So they got pretty warped since, as you will know if you have watched my channel, I am lazy and don't like to tape my watercolor paper. So anyway, all that to say, I think I've gotten to a good point with them. I'm not positive if they're completely done, but I actually wanted to flatten them out a little bit just so I could see them better, and then they'll scan better. So the way that I do that, I will show you. I just spray them down. I put them face down on a clean drawing board, and then I spray the back with a little bit of water, and then lay a sheet of paper on it, and then put some heavy books and portfolios on top, and I'll let that sit for about 24 hours, and then it'll be totally dry and flat. So I think now I am going to do a little bit of stuff on the computer, even though I said I was going to do the drawing for the giveaway at 9. I haven't gotten around to it yet, so I'm going to do it now, but any entries that came in after 9 a.m. I will not count. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of client email, and yeah, the other illustration that I need to get working on, I don't have the final go-ahead from the client yet on the sketch. So I had given them, well, it was supposed to be last week, but they didn't send it in. So I had given them until the end of today at the latest, because that will give me 3 days. Sorry, getting texts. So that should be enough time. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna do a little bit of stuff on the computer. So I've just been reading through all of your comments to do the entries for the giveaway. Some of you just put the emojis, which is totally fine, but a lot of you put little notes, and there were a few questions, so I thought I would go ahead and answer them. Before I do that, I do just want to say there were a lot of comments on like how hard it was to find all the emojis, and a bunch of you watched the video multiple times to find them all. So I'm sorry, I wasn't intending for it to be that hard. I was just trying to make it so that only you guys, so that only the subscribers and actual viewers would enter, and this was the best way I could think to do it. I know it wasn't perfect, but I'll try to come up with a better way next time, just because I've had trouble in the past with people just kind of like entering, especially on Instagram. I guess that's where I've done more giveaways, people entering and they don't actually follow my work, and that's not like a judgment or me saying like you have to follow my work. I'm just I want it to be a nice thing for you guys, so I don't want somebody else to take it, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but thank you to those of you who really tried, and there were a number who didn't have all of the emojis, but like you left notes, so it's very clear to me that you watched it, so I did include those people in the entries as well. So I think how many entered, it was like I think there were like 40 entries altogether in the end. So anyway, yes, the reason I am filming right now is because there were a few questions that came up here that I wanted to answer. One is from Jennifer Fortner, and she mentions, in this video you mentioned that the 5x7 pieces were signed, but the smaller ones are unsigned. What is the significance of signing your work versus leaving them unsigned? All of your illustrations have the signature worked into the piece, is that correct? And then you sign them on the back sometimes as well. Thanks for answering silly questions from this newbie. Not a silly question at all, and sorry if it's confusing. When you see my illustrations online, and sometimes when I include them in a video, there is like a digital signature that I put on it, which is just like a scanned version, or actually maybe I did it on the iPad Pro. I don't remember, but it's a PNG of my actual signature. So like no background, it's just the signature itself. And I do that because I think watermarks, I totally get it, like that people watermark their work, and if you do that, like no judgment at all, but like I just don't like putting them on mine. I think it looks ugly, and I think it doesn't really deter people from ripping you off anyway. Like if somebody is going to steal your stuff, they're going to find a way to steal your stuff. So I just do the little signature, just so if someone is looking to see who made it, they can at least see, okay, yeah, like this is who made it. And I think my signature is pretty legible as Kendall Hilligus. So yeah, all the versions, or hopefully all the versions you see of my work online, do have that digital signature. But just as like a matter of practice, I don't sign, like sometimes when you see that digital signature, it's right up, actually usually it's right up on the image itself, sometimes maybe even just overlapping a small area of it. But when I sign my work in real life, like or when I sign prints or originals, I sign in the bottom right hand corner. And for open edition prints, I just sign in the bottom right hand corner, and that's it. For limited edition prints and for originals, I sign in the bottom right hand corner, and then on the back I initial. And if it's a limited edition print, I'll do the edition number on the front on the lower left hand corner. And then oh my gosh, I'm saying this like in the most confusing way possible. And then also for limited edition prints and originals, I have the title on the back. So the reason the 4x6s aren't signed is just because they're not, right now I only sign either originals or studio prints, so prints that I make myself. So the 4x6s I had done with Moo, and I'm not signing those because there's like hundreds and hundreds of them, and I am also sending them out as like thank yous and sending them to art directors and stuff. So some of those, there are a couple of those that I did print accidentally with the digital signature in there, and it looks fine. But yeah, there's no like I wasn't purposely trying to like unsign the 4x6s. I don't know, it's just not something that I do. And also, since they're from Moo, they are printed on their stock, which means it's a finished stock. Their standard stock is a finished stock. So I would have to sign it with like a Sharpie or something in order to have it not smear. And I don't want to do that because that would be like really dark and would call a lot of attention to itself. And right now when I sign originals and studio prints, I just use a really light pencil. Yeah, did I answer your question all the way? And then Lita Y asked, I saw your portfolio books and I'm looking for a similar way to store my illustrations. What brand or type of portfolio books do you use? The brand is called Atoya, and I will put a link in the description box, but they're carried by, at least around here, most of the major art supply stores, and you can also get them on Amazon. And what do they call them? Let me see. Yeah, on Amazon, the listing name is Art Portfolio Presentation / Display Book. And I have a lot of 9x12s because that's a common size for me, 9x12 or smaller. And then I also have a few larger ones like 11x14, 11x18. Yeah, and they're just like a clear sleeve, and there's a little paper divider, but you can take that out. So basically you can have like one piece facing out on one side and then another piece on the back. So they're really good. I like them. This wasn't a question, but it was a comment that I thought might be helpful for some other folks. Helen mentioned, you may already know this, but I hear you can add further layers to your colored pencil art and rework areas as required if you spray a light layer of Krylon workable fixative, which is colorless as well. It's supposed to add a slight texture on which you can continue to apply colors. Yes, I did know that, and I've actually talked about that in another video, and it is something that I do. However, any of those fixatives, at least the ones that I've used, and I usually use Grumbacher. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I usually, if I'm going to do a workable fixative, I usually use theirs. and it has a advisory to not use below 50 degrees. And because I live in Boston and it's been freezing here lately, it's too cold for me to do a spray fixative. And I could have, honestly, like even if it was a little bit warmer and I could have done it, I'm not sure if I would have done it in this case, because that's great if you are like, for me anyway, it's that, that approach has worked really well if there's like a few small things I have to add, and I just like need the paper to take a little bit more, and it does add that texture, and it's true you can add a little bit more on top, but it really wouldn't let you significantly rework something. And I am looking forward to when I can show you guys these, because I saved all the scans of this process, so I think it will be an interesting video when I can talk about like, here was the original, and here was here's my first round of edits and why they said that wasn't enough, and here was how I changed it. So I think there's like 4 versions, so I'll be able to kind of go through those and talk about that process and like what making client edits typically entails. And I will say, like, this was beyond what I would normally do for edits, and as I talked about in my last video, the only reason I got on board with it so quickly was because it was this really big project and they had all these other illustrations that they didn't ask for edits on, so I feel like it really balanced out in the end. But regardless, I think that will make an interesting video. So yeah, so that is a really great suggestion though for anybody who just has like a few little things that they need to tweak, and if the paper is full and isn't taking any more media, that's definitely a great approach. I think that was it. Oh no, here was one more question. I would love to see a video on how you schedule commissions. Oh, and this is from Aliska, I think that's how you say her name. I am changing my process next year since I just wasn't handling my pack schedule very well. Etsy scheduling isn't very cohesive with portrait commissions in my opinion, and I'm trying to figure out how to change it to a better system. So I don't have like a concrete scheduling system. As I've talked about before, I tend to just try to limit how many projects I'm balancing overall. So usually I'm juggling anywhere from like 3 to 4. And each of those 3 to 4 could have like 1 to 3 illustrations. So that would be kind of typical for me. And most recently why I have been so insanely busy is because I was juggling that normal load, and then just like on top of that added this big project that had it was 11 illustrations overall, but they were all large, and some of them had essentially like 2 illustrations on each of these big pieces of paper. So I don't know how many, it was probably like 16 or 17 illustrations altogether, and very detailed, very realistic, all of that. So yeah, I guess I just kind of have in my head like roughly what I can juggle, and this has confirmed, this last project has confirmed for me that that's about right. Like that 3 to 4 at once is like what's comfortable for me, what I can do without feeling really stressed. So when I come up to a season where I know there are going to be a lot of requests for personal commissions, or private commissions rather, like just individuals wanting to commission a piece of art to give as a gift, like Christmas or Mother's Day is another time of year where people tend to be interested in doing that. I will like put out on social media that like, hey, I'll just kind of make a guess based on my commercial schedule, based on how many things I know I have coming up. I'll say, okay, I think I could handle like 3 commissions on top of that, and then I'll post on social media saying that I have 3 commission slots, or I have a few commission slots left, and basically like let me know when you want to book. And I never have like, you know, on Etsy, if you sell on Etsy, you know that there's a way that you can have your shop set up so that you're accepting custom orders, and like somebody can just like buy a custom listing anytime they want to. And I do not do that because it doesn't give you any control over when you schedule it. I mean, in theory, you could go in and like turn it off, but you could have like 4 people come through at once and buy one of the custom or commission or whatever you call the listing, and then you have to deliver on those. So I do sometimes have people pay through Etsy, but they always do run the scheduling through me first. So I might lose some potential commissions and work that way, but it's worth it to me because I would rather be able to schedule it on my own so that I don't end up with like a bottleneck trying to finish a bunch of work at once, even though that already happened to me anyway, even despite my trying. And I do, this is just for me personally, I do tend to, again, around these busier time of years, try to reserve a spot or two unscheduled, just because family and friends who I love and appreciate, like, they sometimes don't quite understand the need to schedule things. I don't know, it's maybe you guys have this experience too, but like they certainly take me seriously and appreciate my work, but it's interesting, like there isn't the same foresight to think, oh, okay, like if I want to get a custom piece of work, I need to schedule out like 2 months in advance or 3 months in advance. A lot of the time people will come like a week before or 2 weeks before and just say like, hey, I have this great project for you. And I never want to be, I always want to be able to take those on if I can, just because family and friends are the first people that supported me, and I like to be able to do that. Even so, like this year I've had to push off 2 and said like, yes, I'll be happy to do them, but I'm not going to be able to finish them until after the holiday. So yeah, that was a really long-winded answer, but I hope it's helpful. I don't know, if you are an artist or somebody who does a lot of commissions, please do comment below if you have some thoughts on this so that other people can read and learn from you. I think that is really it for the questions. All right, so I'm about to do the drawing, the selection for the giveaway. So I just Googled random number generator, and Google actually now has one, which is amazing. And when I went back through the list, there were a couple of duplicate entries. So it's now actually just 38 entries. So I'm gonna do between 1 and 38 and generate. Okay, so 3 is the first one. So December R. $33 is the next one. Heather Davis. And the last one, 13. Who is 13? Cora Marighetti, maybe? Well, it's definitely Cora Marighetti. I'm just not sure if I'm saying it right. Okay, so those are the winners. December, Cora, and Heather. And I will comment on your comments and get in touch and find out how to send you your packages. So yay, thank you everybody for entering, and I will definitely do another giveaway soon.